Hi there. Thanks for coming out and joining me on the New Era YouTube channel. My name is Paul, and I'll be your host for this presentation that we call Patient Zero. Now, Patient Zero is a very important person because he or she is the first person to log on to ICEDirect, that web-based interface that gives them access to the integrity controls environment. And then they become empowered to be able to authorize other individuals to log on to ICEDirect. So this is a critical step here in the whole process itself. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And what I'm going to do is go to a PowerPoint, which we're going to spend just a few minutes in, but it's important for establishing some background information and for educational purposes. So clearly you're a systems programmer or a security specialist. You've been using ICE for some time, and you're familiar with what it does relative to all the LPARs that you have responsibility for. All the data that's created by image focus and the control editor is stored in the ICE data space. Up until now, access to it was limited through a VTM application that we call the ICE primary interface, or from the TSO command line with a set of commands called my. Now, it's all good stuff, all works well, all maintained, all will continue to be maintained. But now we have an option. We have a browser interface. And I guess the question in your mind will be, how do I get access to that? How do I get to use that browser to access that integrity controls environment information? So here's the simple story. It starts by entering a command on the command line under TSO ISPF. And that command is very simple. TSO $command line interface, comma, asterisk, my MFI, comma, and your user ID. Now, since you're an ICE administrator, you can do that. You can authorize yourself, okay? Other users can't do that, but you can do it. And when you do, you'll get a message back that says MFI user has been added and the prefix has been set to the default value of MFAZ and activated. At this moment, you are good to go. Okay, as patient zero, if you know the URL that's attached to ICEDirect, you can go to the browser now and log on. If you get it wrong, you'll get another message that says, hey, wait a minute, you're not known to the external security manager, RACF, ACF2, top secret, or you are, but you don't have a TSO segment. So you're not going anywhere with that user ID. We're not even sure how you even got to the command line at this point. That would likely surface when you were trying to authorize someone else, not yourself, but someone else. Once a user is authorized, they may, from time to time, forget what their prefix is, and you can reset it for them automatically by just repeating the command line instructions again. And this time, what you'll get is a message that says the prefix been reset, not that the prefix has been added. So it's very simple. TSO ISPF command line, the command string TSO $command line interface, CLI, comma, asterisk my MFI, comma, and a TSO, a valid TSO user ID, and you're essentially on your way for yourself and for other users that want to log on to ICEDirect. Now, once a user has been authorized, they should reset their PIN or prefix as soon as possible. And they can do that, again, from the TSO command line, simply by typing in TSO $command line interface, CLI, comma, asterisk, my MFI. They don't need to enter their user ID. All that will happen there'll be a little pop-up that you see up at the top here. They can type in the old prefix, obviously the default in this case, and then choose a new prefix and confirm it, place an S in the appropriate spot and press enter. And now they have a private PIN, one that's only known to them. It's encoded, stored in a secure registry that is encrypted. So it's just sort of like a TS, I mean, sort of like a RACF password in a way in terms of its encryption. Or they can, once they log on to ICEDirect, they can reset their PIN directly in the ICEDirect environment. And I'll show you how that works here in just a moment as soon as we log in. When they attempt to log in, they'll see the normal sequence of ZOS authentication. User ID, password, some multi-factor, factor, whatever it turned out to be or whatever it turns out to be, will be accepted. If they get it wrong, they'll get a panel prompting them along the way, and they can change their password here if they choose to do that. If they pass this step, they're still not in, because what they'll have to do next is use that PIN that you gave them and complete a string, which we call the pass ticket, by joining it to some token material that's generated on the fly and shows in the panel here on the left as token material, UEJU. Now you can see the default prefix down in the lower entry box along with the token material itself. And that's what's necessary in order to go forward. Now, in the real world, you won't see that because it will be hidden. It's a password field, so you won't be able to see that at all. Another option, if you choose not to use email, or if you choose to use email, is the email option. In this case, no PIN is required. No token is generated that is displayed in the panel itself. The token is generated and it's sent to you via email. And you would retrieve it from your email system and you would enter it in the appropriate spot. Again, it would be masked and you would continue your authentication. You can get a third party involved in this if you choose to bring in that level of security where the token would be sent to that third party and then they would have to cooperate with you in order for you to be able to move forward to reach the ICEDirect primary menu. So that's the basic material, okay, for getting patient 0 authorized. The authorization is done under TSO ISPF with a simple command line string. Once you authorize yourself as an administrator, you can authorize others. And from that point forward, it's relatively straightforward for them to continue their normal ZOS logon process and then confirm their logon with multi-factor ICE, and then they'll reach the primary menu. So let me go ahead and put this show to bed here, and we'll shut this down. And I'll go to a TSO ISPF session that I have set up here just to demonstrate what we were talking about. So I go to the command line and type TSO, $ command line interface, comma, asterisk, my MFI. And now I'll use this user ID, Robichaux, and press enter. And what comes back is that user ID has now been added to the group of IDs that have access to ICEDirect. And that user's ID is now associated with the PIN MFAZ. Okay, that's the default PIN. We'll want them to re-authenticate themselves as soon as possible. If for some reason I typed in TSO $ command line interface, comma, my MFI, and I entered Robi3, I was trying to add somebody. I'm an administrator, I'm trying to add somebody. I'll get a message back that says, hey, we don't know this guy. Okay, I don't know what you're trying to do here, but you're going to have to go get him authorized through the external security manager, get him TSO segment, because he'll need that segment, because once he gets to ICEDirect, the server in the background is going to be setting up TSO address spaces that do the work that he's requesting. And he's going to have to be authorized to have that address space through the external security manager. So I'll PF3 back now. I go TSO $ command line interface, comma, asterisk, my MFI. Now I'm going to do the same one again, PROBI2, because that's already set up. Hit enter. Now it comes back and it says it's reset. It's not new anymore, it's reset it. And this is important because users will forget their prefixes from time to time. You will be doing your work maybe in a 3270 environment under TSO ISPF. Hey, just go to the command line, reset them, send them on their way. They're good to go. So at this point then, we've got patient 0 pretty well under control. As an administrator, we authorized ourselves by giving ourselves a default prefix. We've authorized some individual users by giving them the default prefix, and we've even reset some users by resetting the prefix back to the default. So now let me go to a browser here. I'll bring up Safari, and I'll see if I can find my ZOS management facility interface. Now you can see I'm logging on through ZOSMF. This is a browser world here, so there are many different ways in which we can approach this. The best practice way is to log on through ZOSMF and to use the authentication work and the control work that's been placed on ZOSMF by your organization to help to, in essence, shield ICEDirect from others, okay? Now, here we got a situation where we use autofill. That's not good. We'll go to login. We'll see ICEDirect here. We can protect these links with SAF calls. We can specifically in the ZOSMF environment, we can create a profile. We can permit people to use that profile that's protecting ICEDirect, additional protections of the ICEDirect interface from ZOSMF. When we click ICEDirect, we open up another tab, if you would. And so we have ZOSMF on this side, we have ICEDirect on this side. If we have a problem with the system over here, we could look at inspection results on the other side. We still have autofill turned on. This is only just to demonstrate something. And here is that demonstration. So I'm coming in for the first time. We know essentially what the prefix is, MFAZ, and then 7V0K. And if I got it right, I can log on. So you can see here that I had to put together that default prefix with that token material that was shown on the panel, generated in real time. There's no way for anybody to get around that, to get into this environment. And this environment is rich with functionality and interfacing with the ZOS LPAR that's hosting the server itself. So we want to protect it and make it as secure as we possibly can. Now, there's a bunch of YouTubes out there that deal with all about you, my who, my his, but we're going to talk about my MFI. So when I click my MFI, a panel comes up and says, hey, here's 2 things that you can do in ICEDirect that deal with MFI. You can change your token inline if you choose to. This is a panel I showed you earlier that allows you to put in your old PIN, put in a new PIN, confirm it, and update it, okay? And notice it's telling us here that inline delivery is active. And that's what we just went through. That inline delivery means while you're in the process, inline, we're going to deliver to you some token material. You're going to match it up with the prefix that you either assigned to yourself or were given as a default. And that's going to be enough to get you into the ICE environment. But we can also choose that mail option. And that mail option simply looks like this. We would unclick the no mail option. By the way, we can click expire. We'll get notification when our password, our RACF ACF2, a top secret password, is going to expire. We know we've got a PIN assigned. We already have one, but we probably are not going to use it now because we're going to update this in such a way as to change the method. And so instead of needing a PIN any longer, we're going to change this to where email delivery of the token will become possible. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to ZOSMF. I'm going to open up yet another browser tab, put in my appropriate user ID and password. I don't like autofill, but just to demonstrate a purpose here, and click authenticate. And now I get a completely different panel. I get a panel that tells me that an ICE pass ticket has just been mailed to me. I got one waiting. Let me go take a look. Here it is. All I do is I copy it out. Whoops. I go back to my browser. I enter it, and I authenticate. Now I'm back in again, and I can go back to MFI and change my options if I choose to do it. My PIN, my original assigned PIN or my modified PIN, however, is still valid. It's still valid. It's still out there. So anytime I choose to, as a user, I can change my method of authentication, switching from mail to no mail whenever I choose to do it, okay? So what did we learn today? We learned that it's relatively easy to get patient 0 up and off the ground. And once patient 0 is up and off the ground, others can follow very quickly. And the options that are offered to them are mail or no mail options. They have the options to reset passwords from the TSO command line or reset them within the ICE environment itself. It's all really pretty cool. Okay, so that's it for today. We've got a lot of YouTubes out here. Go take a look at them. If you got any questions, get in touch with New Era Technical Support. Thanks again for your support. We look forward to seeing you out here again soon. Bye-bye.